It is 11:47 at night, and you've been performing all day, performing competence in meetings, performing patience in traffic, performing interest in conversations that drained you 3 sentences in. Your shoulders are up near your ears and you don't even notice anymore. You drop your keys on the counter, and somewhere behind you, a warm body presses against your calf. It is your dog, and your brain just labels it as clingy, needy habit. But here is what you're actually missing. Your dog just walked past the couch, past the cool tile in the hallway, past the dog bed you spent $40 on that still has tags, showing they crossed the entire house to put their ribcage against your leg, right when your nervous system was still running at the speed of your commute. Tonight, when you finally collapse into bed, they will do it again. They'll circle once, maybe twice, and lower themselves against your back, or your thigh, or the crook behind your knees. You'll think it is about warmth, about the mattress being softer than the floor. Dogs regulate their own temperature with near-perfect efficiency. They find sun patches, curl into tight balls, and press against walls. Sleep is when a dog is completely defenseless. Survival wiring tells them one thing when consciousness fades: hide, stay small, stay unseen. Now forget everything you think you know about affection. Forget the word love. Drop down to where your dog actually lives, about 12 inches off the ground, inside a body that never stopped being a predator's body. A body wired not for sentiment, but for one relentless question, looping every few seconds: safe or not safe. When your dog presses against your leg at night, their nervous system isn't producing something as abstract as loyalty. It is running a threat assessment protocol, one that predates your species naming emotions by roughly 40,000 years. Their sympathetic nervous system is the same branch that fires adrenaline into a wolf. The instant a twig snaps, it is scanning the room, cataloging air pressure changes near the door, tracking micro vibrations through the floor that your feet will never register. And then it does something remarkable. It downregulates, not because the room is objectively safe, but because you are there. Researchers measuring cardiac coherence between dogs and owners found something during quiet proximity. The dog's heart rate does not just slow down. It begins to mirror, beat patterns converge, and it borrows your rhythm. This is co-regulation at the most literal and measurable level too. Nervous systems locking into a shared oscillation, like pendulum clocks, swinging together. Your dog's vagus nerve connects the brainstem to the gut. Heart, it receives a signal from your breathing rate, your stillness, and your body heat, and it translates all of it into one internal verdict: stand down. That belly-up position you see sometimes. Strip away every cute interpretation. What you're looking at is an animal that has voluntarily exposed its ventral organs, the stomach, the throat, and the femoral artery, all to open air. Every survival circuit inherited from 10,000 generations of sleeping in rotations. Simone always watching, Simone always ready to bolt, has been manually overridden, not by training, not by routine, but by a nervous system collecting data, concluding night after night that the threat level beside you is functionally zero. When they turn their back to you, most people read it as indifference. But try to understand what that posture actually costs a predator. A turn back means they remove their primary sensory apparatus from your direction. No eyes on you and no ears oriented towards you. In the grammar of threat assessment, this is like a security system going dark, shutting down one entire quadrant because it is classified as permanently cleared. You're not a variable, and you're not even a neutral presence. You are the one coordinate. Their vigilance system decided it never needs to check. Here is what makes this matter for you, not just for them. That same downregulation, that vagal signal, that cardiac synchronization. It is absolutely not a one-way current. Your nervous system is receiving data back, and your cortisol is responding. Your stress cascade has been quietly grinding all day through every performance. It registers the presence of a body that is not evaluating you, not waiting for output, and not requiring a single adjustment to your behavior. And something in your own autonomic stack begins slowly to match their decision. They're not cuddling, they are anchoring, and the anchor works in both directions inside. Your dog's nasal cavity sits a structure called the vomeronasal organ. It operates on a completely separate neural pathway from ordinary smell. Their main olfactory system picks up dinner on your clothes or the neighbor's cat. But the vomeronasal organ is doing something far more precise. It is isolating cortisol, the stress hormone your adrenal glands dump into your bloodstream. Every time your adrenal axis fires off, your dog doesn't need to see your face clench or hear your voice tighten. Now layer time on top of that, night after night, sleeping against your rib cage. Your dog's nervous system is quietly building what researchers call a baseline map, tracking your respiratory rate when you are genuinely at rest, your heart rhythm when your vagus nerve is doing its job, slowing everything down, keeping you in deep sleep. Micro movements that correspond to normal REM cycling versus the restlessness that precedes a cortisol spike. This isn't intuition. This is pattern recognition running on biological sensors that completely outperform anything you'd find in a hospital room. When that map detects a deviation, something shifts in your dog's own autonomic state. Their sympathetic nervous system nudges them awake, not panic, not anxiety. A quiet alert. Documented cases show dogs responding to oncoming seizures or hypoglycemic drops. Even the early physiological signature of a PTSD episode surfacing from sleep, minutes before the human body crosses into crisis. These dogs were never trained. They simply had enough nights of coagulation data to know what normal felt like inside one specific person, and to know when something on the map had moved. And here is the part that flips the lens back onto you. While your dog is reading your cortisol output, your own nervous system is responding to their presence in return. Studies on social buffering show that sustained physical contact with a bonded animal measurably lowers allostatic load, the where your stress systems accumulate across a day. Your breathing lengthens and your vagal tone increases. The rumination loop, that circular thinking your prefrontal cortex cannot seem to shut off. At 2 in the morning it finally loses its grip, because proprioceptive input from a warm body pressing against your side pulls sensory attention back into the present moment. Your dog's not performing affection. They're functioning as a biological anchor, a living coagulation partner whose rhythm entrains yours downward toward rest. So the next time your dog presses into you at 3 a.m. for no visible reason, or wakes and stares at your face in the dark, understand what is actually happening beneath the fur and the silence. A nervous system that evolution spent millennia sharpening for threat detection has turned all of that machinery toward one task: monitoring whether you are okay, and your body, whether you notice it or not, is already answering back. So here's the part where I need you to hear something clearly, because if you have been watching this far, there is a good chance a small knot has already formed in your chest. Maybe you're thinking about the nights your dog moved to the hallway, and you just assumed they were being weird. Maybe you're remembering how your older dog stopped showing up at the foot of the bed 3 weeks ago and you didn't think twice. Maybe right now, sitting wherever you are, you're running a quiet inventory of every signal you might have missed, every night you rolled over and didn't notice they weren't there anymore. Stop. This is not a failure on your part. This is not negligence. This is 2 completely different nervous systems trying to have a conversation without a shared language. And the remarkable thing is not that you missed something. The remarkable thing is that you're here paying attention now and willing to look at it differently. Your dog's communication system was shaped by millennia of survival pressure. Their cortisol responses, their vagus nerve signaling, their entire HPA axis operates on a timeline and a frequency that your human neurology was never built to consciously detect. When they repositioned themselves at night, choosing the door over your bed, when they broke a years-long pattern without a sound, they were speaking in a dialect that no one ever taught you to hear. Not your parents, not your vet, not a single thing in your daily life prepared you to decode the difference between a dog choosing a cooler spot and a dog quietly telling you their joints ache too much to climb up onto the bed anymore. You weren't ignoring them. You were operating inside the limits of your biology. Your prefrontal cortex is busy running 1,000 other calculations every single day, filtering threats that look nothing like what your dog filters, managing social hierarchies that have nothing to do with pack structure. You're not built to notice a 3-degree shift in where a 12-kilogram animal positions their spine at 2 in the morning. That is not a moral failing, that is just being human. And here is what matters more than the guilt. Your dog never held it against you, not even once. Their nervous system doesn't store resentment the way yours does. There's no running tally, no emotional debt accumulating in their body while they wait for you to figure it out. Every single night they made their choice, they made it clean. No scorekeeping and no disappointment carried into the next morning. They simply adjusted, communicated in the only way they knew how, and continued choosing proximity to you as their baseline. So if you missed something last month or last year, that absolutely does not define the relationship. What defines it is what you do with this information now. And the truth is the fact that you are still here, still listening, still willing to reframe what you thought you understood. That already puts you ahead of where most people ever get. You didn't fail your dog. You just hadn't been given the translation guide yet. If this kind of pet interaction brings you back into your body, that is not weakness. It is your nervous system recognizing a form of connection that lets it recover without performing. So here's the only thing I want you to do tonight. Not a training protocol, and not a routine you need to build, not something that requires consistency or discipline, or any energy you don't have left, just this. Tonight, do one restorative thing first. Sit on the floor for 2 or 3 minutes. Notice whether your breath gets longer, notice whether your shoulders drop, and notice how quickly the rumination begins to break. This is for your recovery, not a performance review. What kind of pet interaction pulls you out of the day the fastest? Tell me what changes first. Your breath, your shoulders, or the mental noise in your head?